Hey folks, my name is Pipe720. I'm an American musician from the Washington, D.C. area, and one of my friends on Twitter recommended that I watch this year's Eurovision. So I thought it might be cool to share some of my feedback and analysis on the show. I did enjoy it. So he was particularly excited this year because it was being held in his home country. So I watched it, and here are my notes. This video is a bit late. I watched it all on replay, and I needed to get this video out, so it's less detailed than I want, but I'm still just going to pass on my analysis. If it does well, maybe this is something I could do each year. I'll probably watch the competition every year because I did enjoy it. I'll also add that my wife is originally from France and moved out here to the DC area to be with me, so she knows the contest, but I was actually surprised that she never shared anything about it until the movie came out, which I enjoyed, and that was my first exposure to the contest. So some of my summary notes is it's a great contest. It's interesting and exciting. I love seeing all of the different artists. I love that it's original songs, and that's not something that you see often in the U.S. Musical contests. There tends to be a lot of covers, which I think is probably not fair in case you end up covering a very popular song. I think this kind of sort of levels the playing field, and there's a little bit more focus on the song itself versus just the performance. The show flowed very quickly. There was 26 artists in less than 2 hours, so it was jam-packed with stuff. There was no commercials, which is great, and that's kind of an oddity. If you're in the U.S., you know that most of our network content tends to have just a ton of commercials and advertising. So it was really nice to not have that with this show. Every performance was very well polished. Everything looked and sounded amazing. Even the worst performances were still very good performances. They allowed backing tracks this year, so everything sounded great, but it was hard to tell which part of the tracks were pre-recorded and which part of the tracks were actually being performed there on stage, which is something that's important to me as a musician. Like, I want to hear as much of the live performance as possible. The visuals were beautiful. I do love hearing native languages in music. I'm always looking to hear something new, and hearing native languages to me it's a plus when I hear that in the song. And some of the musicians mixed English with the native languages, and I thought that was really fun to hear how the music sounds in different languages. Let's see. It was very impressive how fast they changed the stage sets. I think it's a live performance, right? So there would be like 2 or 3 minutes between the performances where they'd show a montage of the next musician, and then the entire set's changed after that. So I thought that was very interesting, and that probably plays into the fact that they need to use backing tracks because you can't swap in completely new musicians and instruments and run sound and everything and do that and keep the show on track. Okay, so those are some of my summary notes. I want to share with you my top 5 artists in no particular order. So my top 5 artists, the first one is Germany. They didn't do so well in the voting, which I don't understand why. My wife didn't particularly love this performance, but I just really liked the style and energy of the performance. It was really fun. I think his name's Jendrik. When you watch him, it just made me smile and laugh. I love the ukulele. You can see, obviously, I play ukulele myself. It's a very singable and catchy song. And the dance breakdown, I guess the chorus, like, I really thought was great and added a lot to the song. It kind of gave the song a good contrast. And obviously, I really liked the message that he was putting out in the song. And it looks like, I think he underperformed overall in the rankings. I think Germany underperformed. Tell me why. I mean, maybe I'm one of the few that actually enjoyed this performance and thought that he would perform much better than he did, but let me know. The next performance that I really enjoyed of my top 5 was Russia. I love the sound of Russian hip hop in general. I have some Russian hip hop artists in my TikTok network, and I think it's a really good language for that style of music. And the performance was great. I really liked the energy. She sang very well, but I thought it was just a very impressive performance and very exciting. So Italy was another one of my top five. Italy was one of my favorites. This was a hard rock act, and I watched them and I thought, well, they're never going to win this contest because the style was. I only saw two hard rock acts in the entire Eurovision contest, and this song didn't really have a hook that I could hear, and it didn't really have visuals or dancing or the types of things that you would expect to put a performance over the top. But I really liked it. I mean, I love hard rock music. That's one of my favorite genres, if not my favorite genre. But it just didn't feel like it would be popular enough. So I was surprised to see that they won. And I thought that was really interesting because I only saw two hard rock acts in all of the Eurovision contest, but I think both of those acts overperformed, I think, where they should have been, personally. And to me, that I guess it makes me ask the question: is rock music making a comeback? Is this kind of a sign of what's going to come for the next few years? I hope so, but we'll have to see. I will say that I think the guitars, the drums, and all the backing musical instruments are really what made the Italy's performance great. The vocals were great too. The singing was great, but there was nothing, I think, that was too crazy out of range for the singer. There wasn't really any hooks, but the energy of the musical instruments, I think, that's really what makes hard rock music great. So, let's see, the fourth of my top five is the Netherlands. I love this performance. The vocal harmonies were great. There was great energy. I love the visuals and the message. It did feel like a lot of the performance was performed. It sounded like, of the performers on stage, most of them were singing their parts. There was an amazing dancer there too, who had some very original dance moves. I really enjoyed that. Great uplifting message, and there was a ton of passion in the performance, and that really came out. So I love seeing that. I love that they translated the chorus as well. Does anyone know what language the chorus is in? If you do, tell me in the comments, because I really enjoyed that song. And the last of my top five is Israel. I included Israel because I think she had the best vocal performance of the competition. It's almost no competition. Really, since the vocals are really the only live part of the performance, this was easy for me to include. She had a great energy. She showed off a ridiculous vocal range at the end of the song, which I listened to the studio track, and I don't think that some of those super high notes are even in the studio track. So that's really what did it for me and made me include Israel in the top five. So that was my first impression of the show. I'm definitely going to watch it next year if I can. And what do you think? Did I get anything wrong? Is there something else I should know about this competition? Go ahead and tell me in the comments. So I hope you enjoyed my analysis, and if you can, give my music a listen. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.